Wasn't a junior high.
Well, wasn't that was a kind of an Italian neighborhood up on the hill there in Summit Avenue and
On somebody else.
Page Street, I think. I mean, I read someplace that it was an Italian, originally like an Italian neighborhood of a
Yeah,
lot
that
of
wasn't
workers.
basically Italian. Matter of fact, that's where a lot of your police people came from.
Right, right.
Of course, the most famous was the chief of police was Christ, I know his name, but don't I know my own? I can't think of it. But
He's a recent chief chairs who his family's from there.
okay,
The African American that we did
Right.
his family's right from my street. His whole family's
Okay.
from there.
you squared away with him, okay?
Yeah, he's gonna, yeah. He said I went behind his back. He was gonna make me buy one from him, but yeah, he's gonna check it out and then let me know in a few days, and then he'll bring
And
it.
you know where you are,
He'll
okay?
switch.
Yeah.
He's from Northwind.
Yeah.
That's Mark. Mark Sokol, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He gave me my valve for my jumping zombie I made for Halloween. It's an old washing machine valve, lets air through, and it makes your zombie. He gave it to me, so I'm thankful for it.
I just found this down here.
Well, that's weird. I
Was
was getting a good. I don't know when it fell,
I
but
don't know when it fell. I didn't see it when it fell.
I was picking it up
Okay.
fine there. So
All right,
let's see.
we can go under the sweater if you want.
Oh, it's okay. It doesn't. I don't mind the look of it.
I didn't know if you were losing sound or not.
No, I know it was fine. There we go.
Well, whatever.
No, I was getting it for. It must have just fell because I
Yeah. I'm looking down, all of a sudden there's a wire. I said, where the hell did that come from? Yeah.
Okay, well we're rolling
We should
again.
go
So
back maybe.
Yeah.
When all that noise was happening, that's when you started talking about the gambling and the brothels and sort of the underside of the stockade.
Well,
I think that's an interesting
Schenectady was a canal town. Yeah.
yeah, wait.
Oh,
There goes that.
oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
Okay.
All right, so one more time. I guess they don't want to hear that story.
Yeah. Well, Schenectady was a canal town, and of course, it had its bistros and gambling and everything else to go with it, being a factory town, and so that was the ambiance of the town.
And what was the name of the one? The name of the one place on Ferry Street?
Oh, well, known as the house with blue shutters. It was in back of the fire station on Erie Boulevard on Ferry Street, and of course it was a brothel, and it was run by a person that was in with the gamblers. We had the big time gamblers of that day were Tony Bernardi and Paul Gay, which come to mind, and the man was known as Rainy King. So those were part of the ambiance of the early Schenectady. And things came along which interrupted everybody's life, which was the war years, and the ones that led up to it. So it changed the outlook of all the businesses in the area. Everybody was making money, and as you know, with the thing in Europe progressed, it spread across when the Japanese hit Pearl Harbor, of course, then became a big conflict. You know.
Well, you were in the war in the Aleutian.
I was in high school, final year of high school in 1944, and when I became of age, I got my draft notice, because they were drafting people for the war, And I got a notice, be prepared to go in 2 weeks' time. So it was in March when my birthday was, and I was supposed to graduate in June. I did the only thing a level-headed high schooler would do. I quit school. I said, I'm going off to war. What do I need an education to get buried for? So anyway, they didn't take me till June anyway. And when I got over to the induction place in Albany, I was offered a choice to service, so I picked the Navy and I got it. And so with that in mind, I sold off my car. I had a car at the time, and waited to be called in. And it was just kind of a mixed era of doing what you were going to do and knowing what was inevitable. So I picked the Navy. They shipped me up to Sampson in the Finger Lake region. Went to basic up there, and when I got out of boot, they handed me a postcard that said, "You're in the Seabees, and we're shipping you to Camp Parks, California." I thought I was going to stay in ship's company in Sampson because I had experience with firearms, and I was working in boot camp as a instructor in handling a rifle. I had my own rifles and ammunition and stuff that, because I used to like to hunt small game and also target shoot, and also I had joined the Coast Guard Auxiliary, which was a flotilla on the Mohawk here to protect the great white father down here from whatever could come along. And so that's the way the circumstances happened, so to speak.
When you came back to Schenectady, to the Stockade,
right
after the war, how were...
Well, I went back to get my diploma because I had left school before I'd graduated. So the only thing to do was to go back and get my GD. And I did that. I went to school for 2 classes a day to get my diploma. I had to take English and I had to take a language. I had a college course, and I was taking French in those days, and not doing very well.
How had the neighborhood changed a lot from pre-war to post-war?
Yeah, as it changed, things that GE expanded and took on new territories. They moved a lot of their production to the southern part of the country because of advantages that they could get, and they kept the big turbine buildings up here, and a lot of all the smaller stuff that they recirculated around the countryside to where they desired it to be the best benefits, which changed the accommodations for the type of living you had. You had a lot of engineers that would be transferred to Ohio or out in the Midwest or down south, and little by little these people kind of dissipated from the area and went wherever the work was best for them. Yeah.
So did the stockade change when there was a need for so many rooms and housing, and then there was no longer any?
Well, the stockade became a popular place to be because what was the big place in the south that was doing very well in the Baltimore area. They, I can't think of the name of it, but maybe when I mentioned it, it would come to mind to some people. But they, everybody went to whatever they felt was best for them, you know. I'm flubbing a lot here. Hey, hey, at 86, I'm getting ready to push up the posies there. But
are there any good stories, amusing stories, funny stories? I know Jean, when we talked to Jean, she talked about the day a camel, I believe there was a camel.
oh well, yeah, we had the churches active in the area, and St. George's had a new priest named Father Kirby, and he moved into the area, and he was around recruiting for the church, and got a lot of people to join the church, and he had this one person, there was an elderly person that was donating substantial monies to the church, and she had a birthday coming up, and so he arranged for a big birthday party for her. Well, his birthday party turned out to be a big party that was in where Kirby lived, and we went down to the park, and in the park they had a little shindig for this person, and I don't know how it happened, but I don't know whether he said she had a desire to ride a camel or something or what, but he arranged to have some camels brought in. And so one time when they were delivering him, the camels on that day, I had some people helping me in my house painting the side there, and I live in the lane which goes from Front Street down to the river, and in the park where the functions in the backyard there, where the things were functioning, they came down the street with some camels.
Right down Governor's Lane.
On Governor's Lane, right, walking down to the park, and giving rides on the camel to this party and anyone else that so desired. And of course, when I saw them coming down the street, and I said to the guys working on my house painting, I said, "Here come some camels down the street." Well, they thought I was off my rocker there. But when they walked by, they couldn't believe it, you know. Here's some camels going by. And you never know what he was going to do. He was always doing things for the people that were, of course, feeding the church. The church was getting a lot of donations on upkeep.
Which church was that again?
That's St. George's on Ferry Street, yeah. He was active with that. And then they're back to back with the Presbyterian Church on Union Street, which is just down in their backyard touch. And then you got the Dutch Reformed Church in the corner of Church and Union, which is another popular church. And you had the church on College Street, which was a Catholic church, yeah. And then you go up the street. We had a lot of churches in the neighborhood. There was another one going up just beyond on Union Street on the left-hand side there, above the underpass, a Baptist church, if I recall right. And you go up in Schenectady, got churches all over the place, yeah. You don't have to go too far to find another one.
Did your family go to any of the churches in the neighborhood? Were they religious?
Did beg pardon?
Was your family religious? Did you go to any of the churches in the neighborhood?
Well, I was going to the Dutch Reform for a while. I came over, I was going to a Methodist church in Scotia momentarily, but I moved over here, and so I got involved with the Dutch Reform for a little while, and then St. George's had a young fellowship that they were recruiting people for, and I knew a lot of the young people in that, so I went up and went there for a while, and if I was going out with a girl, I'd go with her to church, no matter what church you went to. You do anything when you're young and foolish and don't know any better. Yeah. So it's very educational in that way, yeah.
When you were a young kid, you went to Riverside School, right?
I went to Riverside School, and that was within walking distance. And when I left there, then I said I went to Oneida because it was an optional church district down here.
What was Riverside School like going there?
Well, it was a new school, and it was a good school, and there was a lot of good teachers down there, and a lot to be said for it, yeah. And you remember the teachers, of course, and as you move along through life, you remember most of your teachers and what they taught you and what you really thought of them and what you didn't.
You'd walk to school. Did you walk home for lunch?
Yeah, it was a walking distance. It was 2.5 blocks. That's all. So I could walk it by myself, and I didn't have to become anything. And then, actually, while I was down there, I was picked as a traffic safety guard. They picked several of us, and we were sent out at noontime or in the morning, and go to a certain corner and just aid kids crossing the street where they felt traffic might be a problem. So I became a lieutenant in that organization, and had a couple more people that were with me, and it was a little experience. You remember my first shot with law, law in grade school.
Were there a lot of kids in the neighborhood when you were growing up?
Yeah, we had classes of, they were all in the 30 to 35 per class bracket, yeah.
And right in the neighborhood?
But they were all from the neighborhood, yeah. And there was the neighborhood toward the Alco was basically, we referred to it as Little Italy because most everything down there were where the Italians lived. Had set up shop, and there was a clothing store down there, and there was run by a couple of sisters, and there was a liquor store, and there was a couple of bars down there.
On Front Street.
On Front Street, a number of bars, some of the better nature and some of the mixed variety, and there were the little businesses maybe run from home. It's just something where nothing to display on the street side to speak of, and we had the people that raised dogs, and we had people that raised crops and wherever they had, and some people just raised cane.
Were there any famous, you've told stories before about some famous people coming through the stockade?
Yeah, you'd never know who you're going to meet connected with what, whether we're connected with Alco or the GE, or the other big place I neglected to mention was Wright. What was it? Down on Lower Broadway was a big factory. Had been there for a number of years. So many years I can't. The name escapes me at the moment. I'll think of it afterward.
story about
Yeah.
Shirley Temple? You did.
Oh, about what?
Shirley Temple?
Shirley Temple. Oh, well, I've got a,
There's a picture on the wall.
yeah, I got a picture on the wall. I have I had a cousin. My mother came from a large family out of Yonkers. She was one of 8. And so I had relatives all over the place that they moved off. One was went with DuPont, and another one went with the City Hall in Yonkers. It would be an aunt, and I had another elderly aunt that was in the antique business in White Plains, Scarsdale area. I had an uncle that ran a garage in Hastings on the Hudson, and he was an inventor also. He had invented, he had made airplanes in the early stages. He knew the Wright brothers, and he knew them, but they were a little ahead of him in getting out their ship. But he made a ship, and they took it down to Yonkers Raceway to fly it, and I guess it flew a few feet, but he never succeeded in getting any better. But the Wright brothers are doing a lot better. And
So how'd you end up with Shirley Temple on your
well, well, that was an aunt I had that went to California. She married a naval man, and he was a commander of a ship, and they settled out in Santa Monica, California. And they had 2 children, Dorothy and Earl. And Dorothy grew up out there and worked for MGM. And Earl, young Earl, was a bit of a playboy. He got into salesmanship with a toy manufacturer or such, and but when he was out there in his school days, he hung around with the paper man.
Hearst?
Hearst, right. And he spent time with them and knocking around, stuff like that. And he got to know Shirley Temple through some meeting at some place. So he used to see her on frequenting. Well, of course, that was her heyday back in the, and she was making movie after movie after movie. But then she grew up to be a teenager, and she kind of developed off there. And so when she became a teenager, and he would still go on, I've got some pictures where he's at some dance with her or something like that. He socialized with people that had a nickel. Right.
Was she here? I thought they came here.
No, they didn't. They never came up here. No. No, they Earl used to visit in Yonkers with relatives, and of course Shirley was out on the West Coast, and she got going with another movie star, John Agar, and they actually eventually married him, if I recall right, and then that thing broke up. But and in her later life, she became an ambassador and was over in Europe for a while, and while she was over there, and did her job, what she was doing at the time, and she married a fellow named Black, which was a Navy man, and she I think something happened to him. I think he died later on. As far as I know, Shirley Temple's still alive today, I believe. I don't know for sure.
I thought she had visited the stockade.
No, she never visited the stockade that I know of. No. Yeah. No, that was. I had somebody. I'm not prepared for this interview.
Yeah, there's nothing to.
I'm-
There's
My
nothing-
mind is
that's okay.
with my present day problems and
Yeah.
in the past.
Yeah.
So-
Well, there was no particular plan for it.
But
so
right, yeah.
It's fine. It's
Well, you can sew this thing together like
That's
a.
right.
Yeah, we had it all
So-
together.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
You can
so we
you
come
can make
back
the whole
and
thing and
forth between
make
time.
it look like something.
Yeah. Oh, it's good.
But yeah, no, it's just that I knew people from all walks of life what they did, and some got involved in going on to greater expectations, and some didn't. I'd like to refer to Joe Matarazzo. Now, Joe Matarazzo was of the Matarazzo clan in town, and he had a lot of brothers and sisters, and he and I were in the same class. Well, Joe became a famous with the space station stuff. He was a psychiatrist for them, but and he was doing well. And he married a woman that was also in that business, and he lived out on the West Coast in Oregon, and he bought the old Henry Kaiser estate out there. So he was doing well. He was involved in the space program, and he was doing everything. Well, Joe used to come home periodically when he could in various years, and I would always try to get together with him at the time if he was in town, and he was always had a lot of stories to tell. So I knew he had a lot of brothers and sisters, and again, I don't know how many are left today around. They've all gone in different directions, whether it's up or down. So that's it. And who knows? Maybe I got a phone call from somebody that's still alive.
Run into him and you say hello.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any other memories of like growing up here on the park and the river and?
Well, the
Does that
park was
happen?
always I was in this end of town that and all the new had friends all the way up and down the area, all the way down into as far as the Elko, as far as that goes, and I always got along pretty good with most everybody. Yeah, well, it must have been my likable personality. I don't know, but whatever. Different people, at different times tried different things.